Welcome into this very special preview show for Longines HKIR, coming to you live from Sha Tin, where this Sunday 4 Group 1s and Hong Kong's best take on the world.
Geraldina goes on, she's wobbling, but she will win. Geraldina comes on and wins.
It's Warm Heart who's strong to the finish, and Warm Heart will win. Warm Heart has won the Ribblesdale.
Lucky Swainess is the real one going to stand up today. Lucky Swainess rolls Victor, the winner, who was very brave. Wellington ranged up to side success. He's back to his best, baby. He's a sprint winner. Golden 60's in front. He's a length and a half. With 1, you're good. 2, you're great. 3, you rewrite history.
Down the outside, rattling home Serifos. Damien Lane, his 4th Group 1. Serifos wins from Denon the Kid.
Luxembourg on the far side, bursting back into life at the Tennis Halls Gold Cup. Went for ride more than Aidan O'Brien.
He is the perfect racehorse romantic warrior, and he's now a Hong Kong Cup winner.
And to preview the big day here on Sunday, we've assembled a superstar lineup. Graham Cunningham, Katherine Ford and Nick Luck join us. Nick, we'll start with you. First time here since 2017.
Oh, wonderful to be here. Glorious weather, genuinely representative international cast, something for everybody in each of the races, and one of the great folk heroes of this part of the world, Golden 60. I can't wait.
You've got the best job in the world going to meetings like this all over.
There's no disagreement.
Katherine Ford from HKIR joins us too. The French team, how do they stack up this year?
Yeah, well, the French have 3 runners this year. The French have been historically very successful in this meeting. They're the 2nd most successful visiting nation after Japan, with 14 wins to their name. It's been a little while. 2014 was the last time we had a French winner here. That was Flintshire for André Fabre, and of course he has 2 runners, Junko and Tribalist, and then Horizon Dore, an interesting contender in the Cup. So let's hope for some more French success.
Absolutely, and Graham, they don't run this meeting without you being here. The barrier draw conducted not long before we did this show. Golden 60 draws 14 and brought a groan from the crowd.
Yeah, it did. There was a gasp, and it's the first time he's been in a full field since his Derby win. So the 3 kings of Hong Kong racing, Golden 60, Romantic Warrior, Lucky Swainess, all bankers for some, but every time I look at the card, guys, I think there are some dangerous horses running around at big prices this weekend.
Starters list for the Vars is as follows. We've got Junko from France drawing barrier number 8. Senor Toba, one of the Hong Kong China representatives. Zafiro, Damien Lane looking to make it back-to-back wins in the Vars after victory on Win Marilyn last year. 5G Patch, one of the locals. West Wind Blows on his way home from Australia. Japan represented by Geraldina and Leben Still. And Warm Heart, the 3-year-old filly for Aidan O'Brien, who's looking for further success in this race. They got the last one in 2020 with Mogul.
Highland Reel, Aidan O'Brien, his first victory in the Hong Kong Vars, and Highland Reel defeats the defending champion. But Irish eyes are smiling. Highland Reel, what a fitting finale.
It's the 3-year-old Mogul for Ryan Moore and Aidan O'Brien. 100 metres to go. He's 2 in front of Exultant and Columbus County. Mogul for Ireland wins the Vars.
Warm Heart, who's been in very good form this summer, obviously a 2-time Group 1 winner, a winner at Royal Ascot as well. Was the plan to always bring her here, Aidan? Obviously 3-year-old fillies in the Vars have traditionally done okay.
Yeah, it was, and obviously she has a nice weight pull. She's well in, she's a very consistent filly. The last day was 1.25 miles. It looks like she's a little bit better, maybe at 1.5 miles. She's very well. Jamie's in charge of her, very happy with her. Rachel rides her out and rides on all her work, and she's very happy with her as well. So looks very well. We were a little bit not sure about which to go to 1.25 miles, which to 1.5 miles, but it looks like she might be a little bit better at 1.5 miles. But ran a great race the last day in the Breeders' Cup, over 1.25 miles.
Aidan always well represented here. Nick, what can you tell us about this filly Warm Heart? Just a 3-year-old, perfect barrier draw though.
Seems to be getting better and better and better. I thought she was very good in the Yorkshire Oaks. I thought she was better in the Vermeer. I thought she was better still in the Breeders' Cup. But 1.5 miles should see further improvement. And Aidan O'Brien has been targeting this for some time, got a perfect inside draw. I asked him during the barrier draw whether that was a positive or a negative. Not everyone likes the inside, but Ryan Moore does. He likes to ground save. He understands the importance of it here in Hong Kong. She's got to have a very strong chance.
And he knows exactly what it takes for a 3-year-old to win this race with what Mogul did when he smashed Exalted.
Yeah, I think she's a better horse than Mogul as well. I think she's more credentialed. She's got a bit more pace, a bit more tactical speed than he had, but she's got a big heart, has Warm Heart.
Graham, west wind blows. A little like Dubai Honour on the way home from Australia with a stop in Hong Kong. Is he in better form than what Dubai Honour was 12 months ago?
No, not necessarily. And horses like Dunedin have come back from Australia to Europe, Red Cadeau, I think. So it's a well-trodden path. Just his last run, I wasn't crazy about. As regards Warm Heart, look at the profile of Aidan's previous winners. 2 Highland Reels, 1 Mogul, both by Galileo, both with lots of international experience. Step forward, Warm Heart.
What's your thoughts on Warm Heart, Katherine? And you better give us your thoughts on Junko as well.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Warm Heart, a 3-year-old filly. She's got the weight advantage. Interesting to see Ryan Moore won't be meeting much over at Hong Kong this week to get down to a minimum weight for him. And yeah, a lot to like. She'll enjoy the fast surface and a really high-class mare. So I like Warm Heart. And as for Junko, an interesting chance for Andre Fabre. The race has just opened up a little bit following the scratching of HKIR, the Japanese horse. Junko, you know, he moved very well on the turf this morning. Frank Panicucci, his work rider, was really pleased with how he felt. He's a Group 1 winner, albeit in not quite stacking up to international top-class Group 1, the race that he won in Munich last time. But he does really have the profile to be an international traveller. He's been Group 1 placed before, notably behind Westover in the Grand Prix de Saint-Cloud. So, you know, he's got a good chance maybe for finishing in the first 3.
All right, the Japanese. Glory Vase has been here. They've won it so often, Graham. Leben still, you said on track work coverage on Wednesday morning, he might be the best of the entire Japanese team.
Whatever the grade mark, improving horses are dangerous. He's 3, he's had 6 runs, and his last run was by far his best. And we know that Joe Moreira is a glass half full guy, but his comments about this horse were extremely rosy, and he put some smart horses to bed like that. So he's getting good at the right time. But if you wanted to stack it up in graded terms, he's a Group 3 winner, and he's up against a multiple Group 1 winner in Warm Heart.
Yeah, I still think that the case for Levenstill is a really compelling one, for the reasons that Graham has said. Moreira effectively said that's why he's here, to ride this horse. Of course he wants to be here. He was 4 times champion in Hong Kong, and there's a certain amount of sentiment to it. But you know, he's a realist. He's got a baby on the way next week. He wouldn't be here for no reason, and this is the reason, I think.
Absolutely, and of course I've got Zafiro in the race too, Katherine. No HKIR, unfortunately, he's come out, but Zafiro's a last start Group 2 winner.
Yeah, absolutely. These Japanese horses, you've really got to respect them, and a lot of these horses have maybe made their way here to Hong Kong because they had Equinox in the Japan Cup, so that race looked very, very difficult to win. So yeah, you can never rule out the Japanese. I'm sure they're going to win at least one race during the day.
Absolutely right. Now we'll get your selections, all 3 of you, at the end of the show for each race. So just keep that to yourselves for the time being. We're going to take a break here on the HKIR special, back to preview the sprint after this, and also a special feature on the UK visitor, Highfield Princess. While the show's focus is a Sunday here at Sha Tin, of course, Happy Valley on Wednesday night. It was IJC night, and as per usual, it went right down to the wire. Rachel King won her first race at a first ride in Hong Kong. Ryan Moore victorious on the Inform M Unicorn. Zach Purton nearly snatched another Longines watch by winning the 3rd leg. He couldn't quite run down Vincent Ho, the first local rider to win the IJC. Couple of sneaky 3rds early, and then that win on Tomodachi Kokoro set up the victory on Wednesday night at Happy Valley. Another wonderful edition of the Longines IJC. We need to move on now and preview the sprint. What a field this is. Lucky Swayness. He's looking to win back-to-back wins after being luckless in this race last year. He has been beaten twice this time in. Wellington has his 2nd start for Jamie Richards. Mad Cool, one of the Japanese runners, Sight Success, Group 2 winner over Lucky Swayness 2 runs ago. Victor, the winner, pulled hard 2 runs back. He was much better last time and gave Lucky Swayness a scare. Aesop's Fables is for Aidan O'Brien, Jasper Crone for Japan, and Highfield Princess right down the bottom out of the John Quinn stable. We're going to preview the UK mare right now, who is nothing but consistent.
She travelled over well, and she settled in grand, and very good facilities here for horses and people. So yeah, we're happy with her.
How has she travelled to Hong Kong? Obviously, it's been noticeably cold back in the UK, so this will be a bit of a shock to her, perhaps.
Yeah, the one great thing about her, travel doesn't bother her. All once she hit the big stage, she went to Ireland, France, and back to England, 3 Group 1s in 22 days. And I must admit, she wasn't in a plane; she was in a boat. So she wasn't flying in, and she had to travel to France and travel to Ireland. So she's a very good traveller, and she's a very intelligent animal, and she seems to like different things. She travel over well.
Katherine, we'll come to you first because Highfield Princess is a last start winner at Longchamp.
Yeah, and French bred as well. So we love Highfield Princess. Her first Grade 1 came in Deauville in France in the Maurice de Guiste, and she was, as you say, winner in the Prix de l'Abbé on Arc Day back at the beginning of October. That was from a wide draw. Bad draw. In the Abbey, it's usually you can rule them out, but she's such a tough mare, versatile distance-wise from 1,000 metres up to 1,400. And I was speaking to John Quinn yesterday. He was reminding me about the 3 Grade 1s that she racked up in very, very quick succession last year: Maurice de Guiste, the Nunthorpe, and then the Flying 5. This time they've given her a bit of a break. After that, the Abbey, they were tossing up with the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint or Hong Kong. It was difficult to do both, so they've given her a bit of a break and come back here. She's such an appealing mare, really lovely rags to riches story, making her debut in handicap company off a low mark, and she's really been such a great flag bearer for the stable. Will she be the first European winner of the sprint? That's what we're going to find out.
That's what she's trying to do. But you look at her form, Nick, everything's got a G next to its name. Every start's in a Group 1 or 2.
Yeah, that's right. And the point that Katherine touched on there, there have only been 3 horses in modern history who've completed the double of France's 2 major sprint races, the Prix de l'Abbé and the Prix Maurice de Guiste, because one's at 5 furlongs and one's at 6.5 furlongs, and they're Marchand d'Or and all the way back to Moore Style and this filly, Highfield Princess. So she's got that blend of speed and stamina. Don't forget she was winning 7 furlong races as a 4-year-old at Royal Ascot. So she can get this. And I think they've made the right call coming here rather than the Breeders' Cup. I think she might have just lost half a yard of her brazen pace this year. And I think this 1200 is about the right distance for her. The question I want to know from those of you more well versed in Hong Kong racing than me is stall 9 a major stumbling block to her success?
I don't think it's a major stumbling block, but if Lucky Sweynesse is on his A game, I think the rest are playing for places here, but he may not be. We'll come to him in a moment. As regards Highfield Princess, unlike a lot of British sprinters, she's very natural from the gate, so that could give her the chance to glide across and find a good position. But the stats are daunting, Nick. They're alarming. No filly or mare has ever won the Longines Hong Kong sprint, and no European horse has ever won the race. And we are 0 for 30 odd since it became a Group 1, and some crackerjack horses have come. And the final point, Nick, the Hong Kong punters think we're here to make up the numbers. Our good horses come and they run around at colossal prices.
Right, so therefore, is she going to end up being a bet, or is Aesop's Fables going to be a bet?
On that board, there comes a number when at least 3 of this panel will think, hello, we can't let her go unbacked.
I'll give you the number. If it's 12 to 1 or bigger,
it will be.
I'd be tempted I'd be tempted to get involved.
It will be. It could start with a 2.
Really?
Could do.
Well, I'll definitely get involved then.
Well, you mentioned the locals, Graham. Katherine, we'll talk about Lucky Sweynesse. He's been okay, but not the superstar we saw last season. He got the job done last time, but there wasn't that electric speed.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a difficult one to assess, but as you say, on his best form, and will his trainer be bringing him up right to 100% for the big target in December rather than the trial? That's how the French would do it anyway. I'm going to keep the faith with him.
All right. Wellington, Nick, you saw him at Ascot 2 starts ago when with Richard Gibson. He's now with Jamie Richards, looking for back-to-back wins.
I thought he'd run well at Ascot. I was a bit disappointed. I thought I was a good comeback run last time, first start for the new stable, and he'd get a setup here that he needs. Plenty of pace for him to run at. And I think that's the key. That's the key with him. And I think if he just builds on that comeback run, he's got to have a great chance.
Well, here is his trainer, Jamie Richards, with Nick Child.
Jamie Richards, it's a massive weekend of racing coming up here in Hong Kong, and a huge one for you, of course. You've got Wellington lining up in the sprint. Here we are at the barrier draw. He's got gate 3. How happy are you with where he's berthed?
Yeah, I think it's should suit him well. Hopefully, he's going to get a bit of cover from there, and hopefully they go along at a genuine tempo, and he gets his chance. But didn't want to draw too far in and didn't want to draw too far out, so no complaints.
You've inherited, Jamie, of course, a world-class sprinter, a top sprinter here in Hong Kong. That goes without saying. He's last year's winner of this race. How has he been since he's joined you? Obviously, he's done so much before, and I'm sure you're hoping he can do a lot more still to come.
Yeah, for sure. He's obviously arrived in great order from Richard Gibson upon his retirement from training here in Hong Kong, and very thankful to the owners for the opportunity to train the horse. He's had a good, easy preparation. He ran well first up, and it's just been a matter of keeping him happy and ticking him over for the last sort of 3 weeks leading into the race. He had a little stretch of the legs down the back straight on Monday morning and worked along nicely, and just did a bit of sort of easy maintenance work again this morning, and everything seems to be in order. He's happy and healthy, and hopefully has a little bit of luck in running, and he can show everybody that he's still got it.
So that was Jamie Richards, Graham on Wellington, Japanese represented. He will start with Mad Cool. How do you assess him in this race?
I think he's got good at the right time. He came on powerfully last time in the Sprinter Stakes for second. Dan and Smash was second in that race before he won here at Sha Tin. As for Jasper Krone, I think we're going to pronounce him, he's one-dimensional. He's a need-to-lead horse. So Victor the winner is going to have company around that bend, and that could set up perfectly for Lucky Sweynesse and company. But I think the Japanese form is good. I'd be surprised if it's quite good enough to snag the win here.
Okay. And barrier number 5 for Lucky Sweynesse is probably a bonus because we know he's not great out of the gates, Katherine, at times.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect draw for him. He can just slot in and go with it and see if he can hopefully place that acceleration just a furlong or so out.
Just listening to Zach Purton talking about this horse, though, it doesn't exactly imbue you with confidence, doesn't it? What's he said? He did his best. He tried hard.
Got the job done.
He got the job done. It was a step in the right direction. We'll see what happens. It's all a bit fatalistic, isn't it?
In relative terms, at elite level, he's been the hardest working horse in show business, hasn't he? He's taken in Group 3 handicaps, giving tons of weight away, ran at the end of last season, ran at the beginning. He might just have lost half a step, but even a little below his very best, he'll still go really close.
Win, yeah.
He didn't get much of a break at the end of last season. He was still working after that race, despite the fact there was no races for him.
Yeah. He's the highest rated turf sprinter in the world, and on all the big races this weekend, on official ratings, Mark, he is the one at his best with most in hand.
Okay, we'll find out if the team is tipping Lucky Sweynesse or going elsewhere at the end of the show. We're off to a break here on the HKIR preview show. After this, we're going to meet the champ himself at home, Golden 60 from his stables. This is the HKIR preview show. Graham Cunningham, Katherine Ford and Nick Luck joining us on the panel to discuss this huge day coming up at Sha Tin on Sunday. And right now we're going to have a look at the runners in this year's mile, and Golden 60's looking for his third mile victory after being defeated by California Spangle last year. He's come up with barrier number 3. Denon the Kid is one of the Japanese representatives, as is Seraphos and Soul Rush. Tribalist here for Godolphin, and Mikhail Barcelona, Beauty Eternal and Beauty Joy. They duelled in the mile last time for the VOCHK. Lims Kosciuszko back from Singapore. Boyd Bubble second up for the season. He was the Derby winner last time, but encountered and Cairo further down, the Japanese Namur and Davina. But it's all about one horse in Hong Kong. His name is Golden 60. This is where he lives. We met Golden 60 with his jockey Vincent Ho and Nick Child.
It's Golden 60, the greatest of Hong Kong. Golden 60, all class, all champion, all speed.
Vincent, many thanks for having us around here at Francis Lloyd's stable. Tell us a little bit about this place, because this is very much your escapism, isn't it? For one particular reason, stood behind us. You spend so much of your time here.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Of course, I come here almost every day, especially come to see him, even I'm not working him in the morning, but always come and say hi.
Of course. How is the horse, Vincent, first and foremost? Now, it's been well documented. He's starting his campaign later than usual this year. An interesting move by you and all the team, obviously Stanley Chan, his owner, and Francis Lloyd. How is the horse as he's getting that bit older? Is he still as good as ever, Golden 60?
Yeah, he's a very special horse, of course, and I think he is still very competitive. He still loves to fight. He still, enjoy racing. That's what he loves.
Obviously, I mentioned you spend a lot of time here, and naturally you would, obviously. You're a huge part of this horse. But just for those that perhaps maybe aren't too familiar with horses and how a horse works and what they do for a rider, just what makes him so special? Now, to an untrained eye, he's just another horse.
Yeah.
But he isn't just another horse. What is it about Golden 60 that sets him apart from, well, more or less every other horse in this brand?
Well, his attitude is different. He is confident himself. He's always curious. He's calm and curious outside. He looks around and he knows what we want to do, right? Hey, baby. So he knows what racing is as well now. So it's also his mindset is very different.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different good horses out there, but with a mind like him is also very rare.
Yeah, well, look, I'm sure, Vincent, he's got plenty more still to offer. He looks great, and they say never meet your heroes, but I'm delighted to have met your hometown hero. Many thanks for your time as well.
No, thank you.
We wish you very well come the International in December.
Thank you so much.
That story filmed a while ago, Nick. You've done the barrier draw not too long ago, and things have changed dramatically. It's the talking point out of the barrier draw, isn't it? 14 for Golden 60.
I mean, if you were to design one story that would have got a gasp from the crowd, as Graham was saying earlier, it was the wide gate for Golden 60. He's never been out that wide, never been in a field this deep since his very early days, and he's been off since April, so he's had the unconventional prep for this, which might be inspired, but this would, I think, be a crowning moment of all crowning moments, wouldn't it? On his 30th lifetime start, it would be his 26th victory. He's been ridden every time by Vincent Ho, one of the most enduring partnerships at high level in global racing in history. He has got so much on his plate, though, here, not least quite a depth of opposition.
Absolutely, and he was beaten last year, Graham, by a horse that nobody is talking about, California Spangle. Yeah. Zach Purton has elected not to ride him this season. He's going on to Beauty Eternal, as we've seen on that win last time.
Yeah, I'm going to use one of your phrases about California Spangle. He was as flat as a biscuit last time in the Jockey Club Mile. He just ran a dull race. So I can't have him. I can have Beauty Eternal. I think if there's one horse in this race who is almost certainly ready to run a career best, it's him. He's gradually made his way to a rating of 115. I thought he was just playing around in front after travelling strongly in the Jockey Club Mile last time. I'm adamant that he'll beat the horses he beat that day more convincingly. That might not be enough if the Golden Boy is on his best game, but I'm going to be a bit of a Grinch here. I love Golden 60, but no one should be shocked if an 8-year-old racehorse off a 7-month break in an international Group 1 race doesn't prove quite up to it, and the 14 gate just adds to my caution about him. So I like Serifos, more on him in a moment from Nick, but I like Beauty Eternal that bit more.
Okay, Katherine, we're going to talk about the French horse now, Tribalist. Rain would be ideal, largely unknown in the conditions that Tribalist has to compete in on Sunday.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he won his listed race last time on heavy ground at St. Cloud, but he won more despite the heavy ground than because of the heavy ground. He is a horse who does have some decent performances if you look back in his career on better ground. Don't forget he was third in the French Guineas last year behind Modern Games. An interesting campaign hatched up for him by Andre Fabre in the first part of the season. He elected to stay in France and carry a penalty. You know, he won the Group 2 Prix du Muguet over the mile, which is quite a prestigious mile in France, and then he carried a penalty to win a Group 3. You know, he was touted for races like the Group 1 Lockinge, but he ended up staying in France. He must have, I think, he had a minor niggling problem.
Quite an unambitious schedule for him this year, hasn't it? For a horse
Yeah.
who's been placed in a classic, trained by a 30 times champion trainer.
Yeah, carrying the Godolphin colours.
Exactly. I wondered whether he's always had something like this in the back of his mind and it was a sort of development programme through the year.
Yeah, well, I would think that would seem logical to me. I mean, yeah, he had a bit of a quiet period over the summer, and then this race very much a target. I think the race at Saint-Cloud, you know, it fell well in the calendar to get him 100% fit for today. We saw him on the turf this morning. He's a decent horse, but as we've said, the classy competition, it's going to be difficult for him, and he hasn't been helped by the draw either.
Yeah, he adds a bit of speed to the heat map, but from 13, not easy to use that speed.
It's going to be difficult. I mean, in France, he can go in front because the races go much steadier. He'll probably never have been as fast in his life when the stalls open here at Chartin.
That has been a look at the international runners from Europe and also the locals, Golden 60, California Spangle and Beauty Eternal. However, the Japanese very well represented here is Toshi on a Kubo from Netki, but run us through the Japanese contingent.
Yes, you know, Danon the Kid, you know, previously placed in the grade 1 over, you know, mile and a quarter in Hong Kong, and he's, you know, constantly used over, you know, 10 furlong. However, you know, he's running well in the grade 1 level, or, you know, over mile as well. It's a little bit, you know, interesting question for him, but yeah, he should be fine over mile. But the question would be, you know, his condition is good enough or he's fit enough for this race. Serifos, last time out, he was a little bit disappointing in the grade 1 mile championship. However, it was, you know, his first time out in this autumn campaign. He was too keen and a little bit unfortunate in the, you know, during the trip. Yeah, I think if he's improved and he's, you know, relaxed enough, I think he's the one to watch. Soul Rush did perform really well in the mile championship, but it was probably his career best performance. But Namur, the winner, yeah, she was so impressive. From, you know, she came from nowhere, you know, behind of the field, back of the field. I don't think, you know, there's, you know, big chance for Soul Rush to beat Namur in this, grade 1 in the Hong Kong mile.
So there, Toshi's thoughts there, Nick, on the Japanese runners. They're very well represented here. Is there a standout amongst them? Is there one you think that's the best of the crop?
I think the best of the crop is Serifos. So he came to himself at this time last year. He posted a figure in November of 22 that would see him win this race. Graham was talking about a horse who was 115 and getting better. I mean, this horse is capable of running to the low to mid 120s if he's on his A game. And I thought there was enough encouragement in that comeback run to think that he was going to be spot on for this. I think he's cycling back to a bit of form. I like Yuga Kawada. I think he's riding very well at the moment. I know he's maybe not got every member of his fan club round this panel, but I think he's riding great at the moment. And I think Soul Rush could be his biggest danger again, but Japan have got a great hand in this race.
We've got Namur, Katherine down the bottom, Group 2 winner 2 starts ago, then the Grade 1 Mile Championship winner last time. She comes here with great credentials.
Yeah, she absolutely blasted home that day. A late replacement jockey, Ryan Moore, had been slated to ride, but he fell earlier on in the card and had to be replaced by a kind of a Japanese jockey who hadn't run a Grade 1 for many years, and showed her absolutely fantastic acceleration, I think, from an outside draw. So definitely don't rule her out at a handy weight either.
And mile championship
with William Buick.
Yeah, I think it's a misleading result. She was drawn 16 of 16, got a frenetic pace to run at, capitalised. By contrast, Serifos was keen and aggressive, with no cover, had a really tough trip. He's way better than that.
Okay, so that is a look at the horses engaged to take on Golden 60 and those in the mile. We're off to a break here on the HKIR Preview Show. After this, the team's travelled from Europe to be here. Romantic Warriors come back from Australia. We'll talk about his chances of going back-to-back in the Cup. One more race to look at on Sunday here at Shah Tin. It is the Cup. Luxembourg Romantic Warrior headline this race, or is it going to be someone else to upstage the big guns? We've got Prognosis, who ran second here in the QE2 in April as well. Fellow Japanese runners Rusham Park, Ishii Iguazu, Money Catcher. He'll need to improve further, but he is placed in group company last time. Group 2 winner Straight Aaron, Sword Point, Nimble Nimbus, Champion Dragon, and Horizon Dore down the bottom for France rounds out this year's Hong Kong Cup for Longines. We're going to hear firstly though from the regular pilots. He's back from the Cox Plate. He's in town for a little while. It's James McDonald.
He is the perfect racehorse, Romantic Warrior, and he's now a Hong Kong Cup winner.
Racing in the Cox Plate. Romantic Warrior jumped away well. Romantic Warrior is going to get up by a nose. And James McDonald will take the Cox Plate back.
Oh, he's got a phenomenal will to win. Very laid back sort of attitude, and nothing really phases him. But what most impresses me the most out of Romantic Warrior is that he's got a high cruising speed. He enjoys fast run races and he can accelerate off that. And if there is a fighting finish, he's generally the one that's coming out on top, and because he's got a phenomenal will to win. Yeah, it was an amazing feeling. Obviously, we had great expectations. Obviously, being such a prestigious race here in Hong Kong, with all the internationals that were competing in it, it was always going to be a tough task. But to see him and feel him dominate a race like that was just simply outstanding. I thought it was one of his best performances that I've had on him anyway, and he was in fine fettle that day, and he demolished his rivals. So hopefully we can go back to back this year. Oh, it's amazing. You can do things on horses like Romantic Warrior that you can't do on other horses, and he's very, very push button. He jumps very quick from the stalls, brakes cleanly, puts himself in a good position, and makes jockeys' lives a lot easier, especially when you can have that tactical speed early and then have a nice turn of foot late. So yeah, he's everything that you want in a racehorse. I think it will be his toughest test to date. He's obviously got a few hurdles to overcome. He's travelled to Australia, he's had a couple of tough races there, and now he's had to come back, do quarantine and all the stuff he's had to go through with the Australian quarantine as well. So he's up against it, but he is a champion, and champions can overcome these things. But yeah, he's obviously, I maintain he's still the one to beat, even though it's such a strong field with Luxembourg coming over from Ireland and obviously the Japanese contingent. So yeah, it's definitely not going to be easy.
He's a great horse, Graham, Romantic Warrior. Does he still not perhaps get the credit he deserves because of Golden 60 here?
100%. For as long as Golden 60 is going zip and winning those races, Romantic Warrior will be the king rather than the ace. But he's a smashing horse. My slight reservation about him is that he has been to Australia. A tremendous performance, a historic win in the Cox Plate. But I put my anorak on the other day, as I often do in Hong Kong. I looked at the data for all-time Hong Kong International Group 1 winners. And it doesn't make for great reading trying to win when they come home. Fairy King Prawn did it many moons ago, but since then, a lot of tremendous horses have won abroad, found it difficult to match that form when they come home. If he's in the same form as last year, when he absolutely he slaughtered a good field, then he'll win. But I'm not sure he's quite the same horse after a tough historic trip down under.
The interesting thing about this is that Danny Shum was quite vocal in saying that he didn't really have the facilities that he wanted in Australia, and rather that he won the Cox Plate in spite of that, and had to work really hard and graft to beat horses who were probably quite a bit his inferior, if we're going to be honest. And it was interesting to me that the owner this morning was talking about how much better he's been training since, how much better he's been eating, and how much better he's been working. Well, if that's the case, it'll give you a bit of encouragement.
You can spin it two ways, Nick. You're absolutely right.
He's still done the air miles, so...
All right, well, he's got to beat Luxembourg. Nick, is he the best of the O'Brien runners this year?
No, because
Okay.
I think Warm Heart's the best of the O'Brien runners. I do, however, massively respect Luxembourg. Super effort in the Irish Champion Stakes again. When you look at the balance of all his form, he does strike you as a stayer at this distance. I do think this is his optimum distance, but I think he's a stayer at it. I don't think he's a horse with a rapier-like turn of foot, and I think from a wideish stall, that might cost him, because I think ideally Ryan Moore would have wanted to be inside and driving forward on him, in which case I think he'd have had a really good chance. I think he's got a lesser chance because of where he's berthed.
Well, they start the race from right behind us at the 2,000 metre mark. It's literally just down there with a short run to the post. Luxembourg's drawn 10, Romantic Warrior 7. It does not end there. France represented by Horizon Doré, and he'll be ridden by Mikhail Barcelona.
He's only 3 years old. You need to get his experience. Ascot was his first travelling, and you just need experience. Ascot the ground was very deep, and he raced well, but he raced a big green again. So he's been performing very well on firm ground in France, and I'm happy to see him on Sunday there, because I really think he's going to do good.
It sounds like you're really looking forward to the task, of course. Romantic Warrior is a horse that everybody knows plenty about and how good he is, obviously Luxembourg as well. So I guess to be in amongst those horses, this horse, in your opinion, worthy of his place with them?
Close, I would say. I know they're two very talented horses, but I think mine, Horizon Doré, is it will be a very good horse. He just actually learn and he show his quality in France, and now his first run against the top horses in Europe, finished third. I think we got some excuse that day. So no, on Sunday will be again. I know it's not in the past 3 years old haven't been very good in a cup, but hopefully the thing can change.
Katherine, we have to come to you first. The pronunciation, Horizon Doré?
Yeah.
Okay,
that's fine.
It's been
Horizon Doré, if you want to be really French, but
French is not that good. It's been Horizon Doré since it's been here, so Horizon Doré it is. Can he win?
He can if things work out well for him, if he shows his best form, if he keeps on improving. It's a tough ask, but he's a very, very talented horse. He's really come through the ranks in France this season. He was a winner on Arc Weekend in a competitive renewal of the Group 2 Prix Dollar. That was on fast ground. Then he went over to Ascot, taking on Group 1 International Company for the first time. The ground that day, totally different kettle of fish, a very testing ground. And, he ran a respectable third in the end, and spoke to Connections afterwards. They said, yeah, this is a good learning experience for him. He took a little bit of time to settle in the early stages of that race, so there will be things to progress and improve from that performance. But the Connections have had an international campaign in mind for him right since the summer when he was winning Group 3 races. He's a gelding, so he wasn't eligible for the Arc. The owners are the co-owners of Ace Impact, who did win the Arc. So, really interesting contender. He's a 3-year-old. He will have to step up again, but he has that tactical speed, which could serve him well.
Well, they have to get past the Japanese, who've won 5 cups since 2015. Can they do it again this year?
Shin Hikari all the way in the cup. Shin Hikari from Nuovo record. Morris careering away with 100 to go. He'll sign off as one of Japan's greatest. And Morris, what a champion, wins the cup. He's as tough as they come, Winbright. He's asserting his authority, but Winbright will create a great day's history for Japan and takes the cup.
Normcore outside the 3. Normcore's run to the front for Zach Purden over Winbright and Magical, and Normcore won the cup. Loves Only You flashing through the centre. Out wide Ishii Iguazu. It's Japan 1-2. Loves Only You says sayonara with the cup.
We'll start, Graham, with Prognosis, who ran second behind Romantic Warrior here in April. Third last start in the Tinno Show behind a horse that goes all right called Equinox.
Yeah, I think the prognosis for Prognosis is pretty good. with certain reservations. Zach Purton talked about an Achilles heel when he came here in the spring. His fidgety nature is difficult to settle, and he got way back. Romantic Warrior just ran off. And when Kawada has ridden him to win a big race, he said he has huge potential, but it's not always easy to get the best from him. But I think he has grown up since his last visit here, and he's looked great on the track this week.
Rushen Park, Katherine, for Damien Lane, big race rider, great success in Japan, success here in Hong Kong. Group 3, Grade 2 winner at his last 2. There's a lot of talk about this horse being a legitimate contender in this race.
Yeah, I really like this horse. I saw him on the track this morning. Looked a really nice, big, powerful, imposing sort. He's a 4-year-old, but often the Japanese don't push their horses very early, and he's really on the rise now. Winner of a Group 2 last time out, and he's one of the the Japanese horses who could legitimately have gone for the Japan Cup, but have decided to divert here to Hong Kong, and in recent weeks and months we don't know his limits, so an interesting contender. I like him with Damien Lane on board, replacing Christophe Lemaire, who stayed in Japan this weekend.
The Equinox rule give him the swerve. Nick, Hijiwazu, one we haven't talked about. Did you have a pick amongst the Japanese in this race?
My clear pick would be Rushen Park of the 3 Japanese horses. I appreciate that you got a horse who was 3rd behind Equinox last time, but something had to finish 3rd to Equinox. I think Rushen Park's latest run suggests he'd have probably finished at least in the first 4 in the Japan Cup. He thumped title holder, who ran well in the Japan Cup and has got some pretty good form on his CV. Absolutely thumped him from a wide draw. He's a progressive horse. He's moving forward fast. I think he's the clear pick of the Japanese. And although I've actually gone for a European in this race, he'd be the one that I'd be most frightened of.
Okay, so that's a breakdown on the Cup. No pressure, but we need selections. Graham, we'll start with your 4 across the 4 Group 1s.
Okay, I'm going to be a bit of a Grinch here, folks. In the sprint, I get Lucky Sweynesse completely, but there was absolutely no danger of Alexis Badel getting done for the whip on his reappearance. It was a pretty gentle reintroduction. A peak form Wellington, and it has to be, can run really well. That's the sprint. In the Vars, I think this Lebanon style is a snip, a potential snip for Joel Moreira. I think he's getting good at the right time. We're then going to talk about the Hong Kong Cup in a moment. The one I've missed is the mile. Golden 60 will raise the roof if he wins, but I think Beauty Eternal is still on the rise. John Size will have him picture perfect this weekend, win and place Beauty Eternal, and I'm definitely going to go, I suspect, with fellow panellists. However you pronounce this horse, Horizon Dore, I think is ready to blossom this weekend.
Katherine?
Me next up, so Warm Heart in the Hong Kong Vars. I really like this filly for Aidan O'Brien, Ryan Moore. Huge amount of things going for her in the Vars. Chronologically next up is the sprint. I'm going to stick with Lucky Sweynesse. I think he's the class horse in the race. I'm going to hope that he's on top form for Sunday, and put faith in connections with him. I'm going for a bit of an outsider in the mile with a California Spangle. Not a very convincing run last time. Christophe Soumillon's coming to ride. I had a chat with Tony Cruz earlier on. He said it's his best chance on the day, and maybe for a place play if the odds are nice and big, but created a surprise last year. Why not, especially with Golden 60, with that wide draw and plenty of question marks, making his return to action as an 8-year-old. And in the final race, Japan have got to win one. I'm with Rushen Park in that one to maybe beat Horizon.
Not going with Horizon?
No.
I can't believe it.
Oh la la.
You got outraged down there, Graham.
Disgusted.
And what about you, Nick?
I am going with Horizon Dore in the Cup, and Graham and I are dangerously united in quite a few of these, but I really do believe this horse is a quality Group 1 animal. I have to issue a little caveat, because every time I look at Rushen Park, I'm frightened of him. So I would be combining those in exotic wagers. Going back to the front of the card, again, I can only really see 2 possible winners, and you both mentioned them, Warm Heart and Lebensstahl. I don't really see where we go outside those. I think they're clear of the remainder of the field. One very talented Japanese horse on the upgrade, and one proven European filly from a stable that's got a wonderful record in the race. Again, I'm with Graham with Wellington. My reason for Wellington, I don't think Lucky Sweynesse is getting any better. I think the Europeans, I think Highfield Princess and Aesop's Fable could both run quite well in this race, but it's asking an awful lot, and Wellington's been here and done it before. I thought that was a good comeback run, first start for a new stable, got some actual pace to run at as well, which I think is always a help to him. And I've gone with Serifos in the mile. If Golden 60 does struggle from stall 14, might be the one to take advantage. Peaked at this time last year. It was a good comeback run, better than the finishing position suggested.
Sunday coming up, Trackside Live on air from 11:55. The first race at 12:25 local. 4 Group 1s. The website's the place to go. There'll be race-by-race preview, hkjc.com. They'll come through tomorrow, and you can watch the races live too on the website, hkjc.com. Team, thanks for being here. Graham, always great to see you.
Pleasure.
Katherine Ford, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
And
Allez les
Nick-
Français.
And good luck with Horizon Doré. And Nicola, welcome back to Hong Kong.
Hello, les Français.
And we'll see you here at Sha Tin on Sunday for a magical day of horse racing.